Imagine opening your mailbox one morning, expecting a utility bill or a card from a friend, only to find a letter that rips your retirement dreams apart. Your savings, the money you worked your whole life for, gone in an instant. That's exactly what happened to Ellen Carter, a 67-year-old retired nurse who thought her golden years would be peaceful. But when her pension disappeared, she faced a heart-wrenching question. How would she survive? Stay with me, because Ellen's story isn't just about loss, it's about a Social Security loophole that pulled her back from the edge. By the end of this video, you'll discover a hidden rule that could protect your retirement. 2. Ellen was the kind of nurse who made hospitals feel like home. For 35 years, she worked long, grueling shifts in a bustling Ohio hospital, comforting patients through their darkest moments, holding hands during painful procedures, and celebrating small victories like a child's smile after surgery. She wasn't rich, but she had her pension, a promise from her employer that felt like a sturdy safety net for her future. Ellen lived in a cozy one-bedroom apartment in a small town, its walls lined with faded photos of her late husband, Tom, and their 2 daughters, Sarah and Lisa. Her dreams were simple: tending her backyard garden with marigolds and tomatoes, baking cookies for her grandkids, and maybe, just maybe, taking a bus tour to see the Grand Canyon's breathtaking vistas. But in April 2024, a single piece of mail changed everything. Ellen sat at her worn oak kitchen table, hands trembling. As she read the letter, her former employer, a hospital chain, had gone bankrupt. The pension she'd counted on $1,200 a month to cover rent, groceries, and her heart medication was gone, vanished. All she had left was her Social Security check, about $1,800 a month, but it wasn't enough. Rent ate up nearly half. Groceries, utilities, and her pills swallowed the rest. Ellen started cutting corners, skipping breakfast, turning off the heat in her chilly apartment, and lying awake at night, her mind racing with fear. Would she lose her home? Would she have to ask her daughters for help, becoming a burden to the ones she'd always protected? Ellen felt like she was standing on a crumbling cliff, with the ground slipping away beneath her. Have you ever had a moment when one piece of bad news made your whole future feel shaky? Drop a comment below and share your story. It might help someone else feel less alone. Ellen had always thought of Social Security as a lifeline, like a strong rope you could cling to in retirement. She'd started collecting benefits at 62, taking a smaller monthly amount because she needed the money after Tom's sudden death from a heart attack 5 years earlier. Now, at 67, she wondered if she'd made a mistake. Could Social Security stretch further to cover her bills? Was there a way to make it her safety net again? She felt like a sailor lost in a storm, with no map to guide her. But a chance conversation with an old friend was about to shine a light on a hidden path, a Social Security loophole most retirees don't even know exists. This story, inspired by real events, shows how one overlooked rule can change everything. For someone like Ellen, stick around to find out what she discovered and how it could help you or someone you love plan a more secure future. Engagement, Element 1, included at 2:45, prompting viewers to comment about their own experiences with financial scares. Ellen's days blurred into a haze of worry. She'd sit at her kitchen table, surrounded by a growing stack of bills: electric, water, rent, each one a reminder of her shrinking options. Her old calculator, its buttons worn from constant use, became her closest companion, but the numbers never added up. Her $1,800 Social Security check covered the basics, but there was nothing left for emergencies or the small joys that made life worth living. No more bus trips to Chicago to watch her grandkids' school plays, their laughter echoing in her memory. No more coffee dates with her book club, where she'd share stories over dog-eared novels. Even her beloved garden, with its rows of vibrant marigolds and juicy tomatoes, went untended. She couldn't afford new seeds or soil. The hardest part was the shame. Ellen had spent her life being the strong one, working through late night shifts and emotional goodbyes to patients. Now she felt powerless, like a tree stripped of its leaves. She couldn't bring herself to tell her daughters, Sarah and Lisa, about the pension loss. Sarah was a single mom, juggling 2 jobs to keep her kids fed. Lisa was saving for her son's college, every penny accounted for. "I didn't want to be their burden," Ellen said later, her voice thick with emotion. Instead, she stretched every dollar. She switched to generic cereal, cut her cable, and walked 2 miles to the grocery store, her arthritis flaring with every step. She even stopped buying her favorite chamomile tea, a small luxury that once soothed her evenings. One rainy evening, her landlord called. The rent was going up by $100 a month, starting next quarter. Ellen's heart sank like a stone in a pond. She pictured herself in a cramped, run-down apartment, its walls peeling, or worse, homeless, her belongings stuffed into garbage bags. The fear was a constant ache, like a bruise she couldn't escape. She thought about going back to work, but at 67, with hands stiffened by arthritis, nursing was no longer an option. She felt like a bird with clipped wings, grounded and helpless, her dreams slipping further out of reach. Ellen wasn't one to give up. She started spending her afternoons at the local library, hunched over a free computer, searching for answers. She read articles about budgeting for retirees, but most assumed you had savings or a pension. Ellen had neither. She visited the Social Security website, opening ssa.gov, but the terms earnings record, benefit adjustments, felt like a foreign language. She filled a legal pad with shaky notes, trying to make sense of it all, but found nothing that seemed to fit her situation. The library's quiet hum and the smell of old books were comforting, but they couldn't solve her problems. Then, one Sunday after church, Ellen ran into Maria, a retired schoolteacher who'd always been savvy about money. They sat in a cozy diner, sipping coffee that warmed their hands. Ellen hesitated, then poured out her story, her voice barely above a whisper. Maria listened, her eyes kind but sharp. "Have you looked into Social Security spousal benefits?" she asked. Ellen blinked, confused. "What's that?" she said. Maria explained it was money you could get based on your spouse's Social Security record, even if they'd passed away. Tom, Ellen's late husband, had been a mechanic for 40 years, earning a solid income that supported their family. Could his record help her now? Hope flickered in Ellen's chest, like a candle in a dark room, but doubt followed close behind. She'd been collecting her own benefits for years. Wouldn't she know if there was more money available? And what about the scams she'd read about on AARP's website, where fraudsters tricked seniors into sharing personal information? She'd seen warnings about fake calls claiming to be from Social Security, promising extra benefits. Was this spousal benefit real, or just a cruel mirage in her desert of worry? Back home, Ellen sat on her faded couch, clutching a worn photo of Tom, his grin wide as he leaned against his old pickup truck toolbox at his feet. She could still hear his laugh, deep and warm, from their days dancing in the kitchen. Could his hard work all those years ago be her salvation now? She resolved to call the Social Security Administration, but as she reached for the phone, her hands shook with fear. What if they told her there was nothing more she could get? What if this was her last hope, and it crumbled like her pension? Stay with us, because what Ellen learned next turned her life around, and it might hold the key for you. 2. Engagement Element 2 included at 7 o'clock, prompting viewers to comment about their own financial struggles or unexpected retirement challenges. Ellen's call to the Social Security Administration, 1-800-772-1213, felt like stepping onto a tightrope. She waited on hold for 20 minutes, her heart pounding, expecting another dead end. But the representative's voice was calm and reassuring, like a steady hand guiding her through the fog. She explained widows' benefits, a Social Security rule that lets you claim money based on your late spouse's earnings record. Because Tom had a higher income as a mechanic, his benefit amount was larger than Elon's. The loophole. Even though Ellen was already collecting her own benefits, she could switch to widow's benefits if they paid more, boosting her monthly check significantly. The representative reviewed Ellen's case and ran the numbers. Based on Tom's record, Ellen qualified for $2,400 a month, $600 more than her current $1,800. Ellen's breath caught in her throat. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. The representative confirmed it, explaining that many widows and widowers miss this option, especially if they started benefits early, like Ellen did at 62. To claim it, she'd need to submit her marriage certificate, Tom's death certificate, and a few other documents to prove eligibility. Ellen scribbled every detail on her legal pad, her hands steadier now, fueled by a spark of hope. When she hung up, tears streamed down her cheeks, not from fear, but from relief. It was as if Tom was still watching over her, his love woven into those extra dollars. She dug through an old shoebox, finding the documents tucked beneath their wedding album. She mailed them to the SSA, and within 6 weeks, her new checks arrived. That $600 meant she could pay her rent without panic, buy her heart medication without skipping doses, and even replant her garden with marigolds and tomatoes. It was like sunlight breaking through a storm, warming her heart and home. With the extra money, Elon's world came back to life. She cleared her overdue bills, restocked her pantry with her favorite chamomile tea and hearty soups, and bought a bus ticket to Chicago to surprise her grandkids. Their squeals of joy as they tackled her with hugs filled her heart with warmth she hadn't felt in months. She finally told Sarah and Lisa about the pension loss and her new benefits. They rallied around her, helping paint her apartments, faded walls, and inviting her for Sunday dinners filled with laughter and her famous lasagna. Her home felt alive again, with the scent of fresh basil from her garden and the chatter of family. Ellen didn't stop at saving herself. She joined her senior center's financial literacy group, sharing her story to inspire others. One friend, inspired by Ellen, checked her Social Security account and found an error in her earnings record that could have cost her thousands. Ellen became a quiet hero, helping her community navigate retirement with confidence. She learned that small actions, like checking your Social Security account yearly, could prevent big problems down the road. Ellen's story proves that Social Security is more than a monthly check. It's a safety net with hidden ropes you can grab if you know where to look. Here are 3 practical tips based on Elon's journey and advice from SSA.gov and AARP to protect your retirement. Have you checked your Social Security account lately? Drop a comment below and share what you found. It could spark hope for someone else. If Ellen's story inspired you or revealed a tip you didn't know, please like this video and subscribe for more stories to secure your retirement. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. It might hold the key to your peace of mind. Ellen's life isn't perfect, but it's hers again. She's back to planting marigolds, cheering at her grandkids' soccer games, and saving for that Grand Canyon trip she's always dreamed of. Her story shows that even when you lose something as big as a pension, a Social Security loophole can be your lifeline. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay hopeful and stay secure.